Yes.
Ms. Stryker?
Yes.
Mr. Albert?
Yes.
Mr. Carmine?
Yes.
Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, item 3, approval and/or corrections of the minutes of the regular meeting of July 12th.
Albert?
Albert?
Carmine will second that.
Okay. Questions or comments? No? Okay, I'll call for a vote.
Mr. Ludley?
Yes.
Ms. Stryker?
Yes.
Mr. Albert?
Yes.
Mr. Carmine?
Yes.
Mr. Dick?
Yes.
Okay. Item 4, principal, supervisor, and faculty reports. We have Kenton City Schools new hires. So who would like to go first? All right.
I'll go first.
Go, Kurt.
My name's Kurt Cameron, and normally the middle school's in the middle, but tonight we'll go first. We have 2 new staff members for the 2021 and 2022 school year. I'd like to have introduce Sean Stevens. He is our assistant vocal music director.
Wonderful.
We also have a new 8th grade math teacher, Haley Garland, who is also our 7th grade volleyball coach, and she is currently in a scrimmage, so she was unable to attend. So, thank you. Those are our new staffs.
Thank you.
I'm not going to say we'll save the best for last. Sorry, Mr. Jones. Robin Bain, principal of Kenton Elementary School, and on behalf of myself and Mrs. Butterman, we'd like to introduce some new people to our building. First of all, Mr. Clint Sneary will be our associate principal, specializing in grades 5 and 6. Then starting at the lower end, we're looking at APOD kindergarten. We have 2 new educational assistants. We have Desiree Bob and Logan Hollingsworth. And moving on up to 2nd grade, Danny Carlson will be an educational assistant. New people. In 4th grade, Sarah Hoyt will be teaching language arts and social studies. And a new intervention specialist will be Sarah Brown. And also, we have an educational assistant in our CC unit, Shannon Wilson. And in 3rd grade, which I feel like she's been around for a while, Mrs. Portia Mansfield, that she worked with us last year as well. And DPOD, we have 2 new teachers.
Scrimmage tonight, so she wasn't able to attend. We also have Rhonda Grubbs, who's transferring from the elementary. She's not a new staff member, but she did transfer to the high school. Who am I missing? Grant, Rhonda, didn't write this down. Julie Noss, I already talked about her. Julie Deering. And Caleb Austin, he will be teaching our science biology at the high school as well. And Tammy Williams will be an educational assistant in the CC unit. So that is the staff members at the high school. Thanks.
Wonderful. Well, welcome. Welcome. Oh, go ahead.
I've got 2
Okay.
cafeteria members here today. I
Awesome.
hired 4,
Yay.
so that's a good thing, right?
Yes.
Of course,
Always.
Two of my staff members went to educational aid positions, so
Ah.
that's okay. They're staying in the district, right?
Okay.
So I want to introduce Janice Hill. she'll be working at the elementary in the morning, helping to prepare some food for lunch, and then also going to the high school to serve. And then I also have Wilma, and I'm going to say your last name wrong. It was Beachy. It's going to Lambright. Is that correct? She's also doing 2 positions with us this year, starting out at the elementary in the morning and then going to the middle school to help them out over lunchtime. And then I also have Sherry Pash. She'll be doing register at the elementary, and Dina Rogers, and she'll be doing our serving line at the elementary for lunch.
Got one more I need to introduce also.
Okay.
In the administrative ranks, if you will. Mike Letty's here with us. Many of you remember him. He was our athletic director years ago. Some curriculum and grant management things. So just want to thank Mike for coming back, and we're looking forward to seeing him around the here at Kenton City Schools.
Okay, wonderful. All right, well, welcome. Item 5 is public participation, and we do have a couple of people on our list. But before we get to that, let me just go over the guidelines that go with that. First, we ask that your comments be factual and respectful of the rights of others. Second, before coming to the board, you should first address the problem with the appropriate teacher, staff member, or administrator. You are asked to limit your time to 3 minutes, and I will let you know when you're at 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Also, we ask that you please let us know your name and what organization you're with and what item that you're addressing. So the first person I have on my list is Wilma Lambright. Would you like to speak? No? You don't have to if you don't want to. Okay. Janice Hill.
I think you guys saw.
I think you just signed in. Oh. Funny.
3 minutes, life story. Go.
Okay. Okay. Well, then I will. Mike Labus.
Good evening. Mike Roberts. I live in Kenton, 778 Hall Drive. And full disclosure, I am an employee of the school. I'm a bus driver. But tonight I'm here just as a concerned citizen and taxpayer. I would like to commend the board and them for starting the school year without the mask mandate. I know there's going to be a lot of pressure probably coming on the line on that. I'm here to tell you that I believe the public is behind you in making that decision and giving us the option. And so with that, I'll read this. You can let me know. A little nervous, you know, I graduated from Kenton. So, but let me know when my time's up. I'll do what I can here. So I am a parent and concerned citizen of this county and the school district. Thank you for hearing me. Tonight I am speaking to you on the topic of liberty and the duty of this board to immediately act to restore the rights and liberties of students and their families. We elected you to office believing you to be persons of integrity and sound judgment. We trusted that you would obey your oath and uphold the law. We required you to swear before God that you would faithfully maintain allegiance to the Constitution and the United States and to the state. These documents are the supreme law of our land and of this state, and they do not allow for any official to violate the rights of the people on the basis of a health emergency. Moreover, they do not provide that only legislative bodies make law, not governors or mayors or health department officials. When higher-ranking authorities violate the people's liberties by means of orders, edicts, proclamations, or mandates that lack constitutional authority, the lesser-ranking authority, in this case the school board, has both the God-given right and the affirmative duty not to obey the superior authority, and if necessary, to actively resist them. This truth is known as the doctrine of the lesser magistrates. The Magna Carta was based on the doctrine of the lesser magistrates. The Declaration of Independence was based on the doctrine of the lesser magistrates.
30 seconds.
Thank you. I also have a book that is titled that, and it explains those activities. If anyone is interested, I would gladly give you one of those books. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next person I have on my list is Michelle Labus.
Hi, Michelle Labus. I here and can live with him. I just have some questions. I didn't know, I'd like to see, so last year what the financial impact on the school was for COVID. You know that we got a lot of money for COVID, but then there's a lot of money that you spent out. So I didn't know if that was something that I could get a summary, which you've probably already done with the end of year stuff. But, so that was one question. The other question was, there's a lot of talk about if we don't do masks and the government demands masks, or the health department, whoever demands it, that we would lose federal funding for masks. Is that real? Is that something that you guys are seeing? Like there's actual paperwork coming down that says you're going to lose federal funding if you don't follow it? You know, there's a lot of questions out there. I was just curious if it's true.
So Joe, do you want to handle that one?
I really can't comment on that right now. I mean, there are things that are tied. I will just say in general, if you don't follow certain mandates, they can, by rights, take some of those federal funds away.
Right.
Yes.
But it's not like, I would assume it's not like all the federal funds. It would be maybe a portion of the federal funds, or, but you've not seen anything like
I've not
hard.
seen it. We have not. I've never personally had that. That's not to say that it wouldn't happen. And I really don't know what their criteria would be to take those away.
Okay.
I'm sure there's.
Now,
some
did you see that at all last year? I mean, you guys did the mass, so it wasn't like you were fighting against it, but
No.
you didn't have anything
No.
come down.
No.
And then my last question was just, right now masks are optional, and then if something were to change, what would be that thing to change to say that now we're going to mandate the masks? Like, what would it take to then be like, oh, it was optional at the beginning, but now we've changed it and we're gonna,
Well, we would have to be in talks with the health department
okay.
and see, we're not, we have to do what's best for our students and make sure that they're safe and our staff. So that would be a conversation that would need to be had with our head nurse, our superintendent, our board, and our county health department.
But as of now, you're looking at it being the duration of the year, or is it something you guys are gonna evaluate?
It's an ever-changing situation.
Okay,
So
All right.
we're just gonna have to roll with it.
that's all I had.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. All right. Item 6, treasurer report. Madam Treasurer.
Just a couple things. I know we're going to probably cover a little bit of it in the financial meeting, but with that said, again, cash balances seem to be up a little bit because, again, of the grants that we have received.
Right.
Also, the additional grants we received basically due to ESSER funds, which is the cause of COVID. The other thing I'm going to touch real briefly on is the state funding. You more than likely will not see a 5-year to be approved until the November meeting. That would be because we will not know how the new funding is going to look until the very first payment of October. So that'll give us time to analyze where we stand personally on the new funding and make a better assumption where we'll be at the end of the year. there are a lot of moving pieces to this. There is not an apples-to-apples comparison that you can make from the previous biennium to this one, because there are so many changes that they've made. A couple of the changes would be wellness funds. Wellness funds were almost $900,000, and they were put into a different fund, so it was tracked separately. Those funds are now coming back into the general fund. So you're going to see an increased result in the revenues in our five-year forecast because of that. You're still going to have to track. You're still going to have committee. We're still going to have to put all those things in motion and make sure we're tracking and spending the way that we're supposed to, because ODE will want a report on how that will be spent for the year. So that'll be for the next 2 years. The other part is gifted. We've always had gifted. We haven't had it specifically in a line item for the last couple years, but it's coming back as a line item again. Again, that's going to have to be tracked. It's going to have to be shown how you spend it at the end of the year. I've spent many hours on webinars with other constituents that are analyzing the whole process. That's why I can't really give anything, because they're not even sure yet how it's going to look. So I can just give you generalities at this point. They did put something out, though, that's really a little misleading, and that is on ODE's website, and it will show what the district had in FY21, what their revenues were, right? But you can't compare this. It's not apples to apples. So they're saying there's about $446,000 change. Well, that doesn't mean you're going to get a $446,000 increase in your revenues, because again, there's a lot of different moving parts to it. We could possibly say there's going to be about a $446,000 increase on our bottom line, which is 15.01 of the five-year forecast. That is the actual cash balance. That's the only thing that maybe we can monitor and say, okay, that could be a real number at that point. But until I know more, and we all know more in the state where this is looking, because ODE hasn't even, they haven't even mapped out how we're going to start tracking some of these things. You're going to have open enrollment come to you as a direct cost, so it's going to be a net effect. So instead of having a gross of maybe $1 million and then expense out $500,000 because you got kids going elsewhere, it's going to be the net of that. It's going to be showing in your revenues.
Okay.
So that's going to kind of like look funky too. That's why you can't compare last year to this year, because you're going to have this weird equilibrium going on. The other one, too, community school kids are going to be net affected right into our revenues as well. You're not going to have that expense. So you might see some of those expenses go down, but like wellness money, now you're going to see some of those expenses come back because you're not tracking it in a different fund. So I think we'll be, okay. I just can't say how okay we're going to be at this point.
Okay.
So that's why we're going to take our time, and I won't have a report to give to the board until November.
Okay.
The other thing is, too, talking about cafeteria, we have on the agenda tonight, to increase some of those costs. There was a lot of effort put into that. Regina had asked me for labor costs, so I've given those for her for this next school year. And then one of the items that we're going to approve tonight is being part of a purchasing co-op, EC.
Yep.
We've already put that into good use. We've ordered toilet paper, so we've saved some money on that. We're going to be ordering air filters, so we're going to be saving some money on that. We'll get a little bit of that percentage back, so that's a good thing. But the reason why I bring up food service is because, and I shared it with Regina, and I know Sherry probably knew this, but they're going to be their backs are kind of up against the wall this year. A lot of the food service, everybody knows this, because of the COVID impact. And part of that is, you've got the farmers, the truckers, the packers, the manufacturers, and the distributors. All are struggling with short staffs. They're struggling with increased costs on their own. So I think, Regina, like you said, I think we're going to be okay, like with Port Food. I think we're fine there. But there are a lot of other vendors out there that are going to struggle with getting us what we need. So I just wanted to put that out there, that we're in really weird times.
Okay.
So just wanted to let everyone know that.
All right.
Other than that, I have nothing unless anyone has questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have you seen anything from the state on how they're going to break down the funding with or potentially the bills that are coming down the line? How they're going to redo those fundings to the schools and stuff? And that might have been a more better question for Chad.
Yeah,
It's,
it,
Or both of you.
yeah, I mean, we
I
really.
do a lot of reading, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. That, again, we're in uncharted territory at this point,
So
so.
that we don't have, still haven't given us any clue of how that's gonna break down for us.
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah, the next couple of months, everybody's kind of working through it.
No,
Anytime you go through a new biennium, and they change it this drastically, it takes a while for everybody to kind of figure it out.
All right, any other questions? If not, I'll have a motion to accept.
Albert?
Second?
Dick?
Okay, and I'll take a vote.
Ms. Stryker?
Yes.
Mr. Albert?
Yes.
Mr. Carmine?
Yes.
Mr. Dick?
Yes.
Mr. Lovely?
Yes.
Okay. Item 7, superintendent report.
Yeah, just wanted to highlight, I guess, the other thing besides, new budget is also they just totally redid the way they're funding schools, and that's exactly what was just being talked about. So you have two different situations at the same time. It's causing a lot of treasurers and other folks a hard time in trying to explain how it's all going to shake out. But I did want to just highlight if you look through the agenda, there's quite a few people that are listed for receiving supplementals for coaching, for advisory, doing some advising. We got people doing teacher-to-teacher mentors. There's just quite a few supplementals in here. And I wanted to speak to that only because I don't think sometimes that maybe everybody understands that those supplementals don't truly pay per hour, if you will. In other words, the amount of time that goes into coaching a sport or advising a club or a group, obviously they're not doing it because they're looking to make money. I mean, we thank them by paying them something, but ultimately, a lot of times it probably would factor out to be about 60 cents an hour. It's just not, that's not why they do it. And so I just want to take a minute and thank all of those people that have agreed to do that, because it definitely is above and beyond the typical day and the typical contract. And if it weren't for those people, the opportunities that we allow our kids to participate in and they have the opportunity to participate in just wouldn't exist. So I just want to make sure I'm thanking those folks because, yes, we are giving them a little bit of money, but in the grand scheme of how much work they put in, it's really not, that's not why they're doing it. So I just want to take a minute to thank those folks, and I'm also really looking forward to tomorrow. We bring all of our staff back and start the process of getting ready for students next week. And so, I was out here in the marching band playing last week, and it's that time. We're ready to get back and start having kids come back into our buildings, and it's just a very exciting time right now for Kenton City Schools.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Okay, item 8, board committee reports, finance.
I have some items here on that, and I think just a few things to touch on here. I know one of the first pieces that we had spoken about was just through a contract through Weibel.
Yes.
Okay. And they would just be for the Kenton Elementary building, just to help monitor operating systems and efficiency and things of that sort. So I think we're continuing with that with them and using them to monitor
Yes.
all of our operating systems.
And thank you to the ESSER funds, we were able to put that contract into one of the grants for this year because it is preventative maintenance. So that, which is on this list to be approved, will be paid out of ESSER funds this year.
The other piece was the quote coming back for the trash management. We were using Waste Management, but then we also looked at going with another company, Rumpke. But at the end of it all, it made sense just to continue with Waste Management.
Yes.
And I think there was cost savings also with continuing with
Yes.
Waste Management.
Yes, we went out for bid, well, not really went out for bid, but someone had contacted me, so I said, okay, that's fine, give me your bid. So with the current contractor, we did the same thing. They sharpened their pencil, we're gonna save anywhere from $6,000 to $8,000 just based on that. So we're gonna look at those every year just to make sure we're getting the best bang for our buck.
And then also, I think we're going to, through the utility audits, continue with Meta Solutions and utilizing their services. There again, just to make sure that everything's kind of like a checks and balances. but we're just keeping and making sure that everything is running as efficiently as it can, but we're getting the most efficiency out of all of our operating systems and everything that we use, so
Yes.
to make sure that we're not, I guess, overpaying for utility costs and things of that sort.
Correct, yes. I had Mr. Comstock sit down with me, with Tony, to look at the audit report for us. So we've got a baseline now, 1920, now we've got another new baseline of 2021. Efficiency, we're at an Energy Star efficiency rating, which is the best that you can get, meaning we are running our buildings very, very efficient. I give good testimony, a lot of testimony to Doug, and putting those things in place. He's got people to help back him up as well. So we are running these buildings very efficient, which is a good thing. And to pay Tony to monitor our utility bills every month, maybe $600 has been invaluable because there have been overcharges that we catch, and he makes everybody's feet accountable. And so we get credits back throughout the year from monthly overpayments. So that's a good thing.
I think that's really all I had, because I know Jill had talked about the student wellness
Yep.
and things of that, so.
Yeah, we talked about the funding. Yep.
Okay. I do have a couple things for the Career Center. Orientation was held on August 12th. Students picked up their schedules and uniforms. Dr. Smith is working with the Logan County Health Director to establish COVID protocols for the year. Let's see. When Deb was here in June, she talked about all the different credentials that students could earn. There are 49 different credentials between the satellite programs and High Point itself. So that gives our kids amazing opportunities to become more employable. So that's really what she had in terms of High Point.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
If Logan County mandates masks for students, does that include satellite programs that have to deal with High Point?
I would have to check into that. I know it would affect. It would obviously affect High Point itself because
Right.
it's in Logan County.
But I just mean like Northwoods and Hardin County. Would that
Yeah,
carry
not-
over? Or would that not carry over?
I don't know. I'd have to check into that.
At this point, all Logan County schools have also made it optional. However, the way High Point has operated up to this point has been to allow the school district to have policies that govern what happens within the classroom.
Yeah.
So that's the way I would expect it to continue.
Okay.
I knew that question we could ask, so I figured I'd ask.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can ask. Mrs. Purcell. Thank you, Mr. Nash. We don't have any old business, so moving on to new business.
Before we move on to new business, I'd like to go ahead and allow if our guests that want to, those that we asked to come here and get your picture taken and introduce you and all that stuff, you do not need to stay for the remainder. You're welcome to, more than welcome
come
to.
on.
Yeah, I just wanted to give them the opportunity if they wanted to, you know.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Welcome.
Have a great
Does that mean we get to go too? All right. Mass exodus. All right.
The only dedicated one right there.
Yeah.
And then there was one.
And then there was one. All right.
Reason we hired you back.
Yep. Dedication right there.
We haven't yet, have we?
Okay, moving on to new business.
It was last month.
Items 10A through 10M, I believe. Yes, 10M. Do I have a motion to accept?
Albert?
Albert, and a second.
Ledley.
I had Carmine. Okay. Questions, comments?
I just have a quick question. about
Yes.
that. How are we looking as far as, are we fully staffed now? Do we have any openings left or?
Right now, we have one bus aid that we've posted. I think it went today. I think it went out today. If it didn't go out today, it'll be out tomorrow. But that is where we're short right now, is one bus aid. So the good news is we do have some folks that have subbed for us in the past that would do that again for us now. So if we had to run buses tomorrow, we'd be where we need to be, as far as we'd have everybody in the places they need to be. But yeah, as of right now though, everything else is full, and which is really good. And I give a lot of credit to our principals, because a lot of stuff happens in July when maybe they're not, they're out of their contracted time, if you will, but it doesn't matter. They come in, they make sure we get things filled, and so, yeah.
Well, I was going to congratulate all of them if that was the case,
Yeah.
but you see that none of them stuck
Well,
around.
yeah.
But pass that on for me if you would, Chad. That's something to be said. I just got back from vacation and there was help wanted all over, all my way down and all my way back. So to have it almost fully staffed is amazing.
Yep, I'll pass that on. Thank you.
Okay. All right, let's have a vote.
Mr. Carmine?
Yes.
Mr. Dick?
Yes.
Mr. Ludwig?
Yes.
Ms. Stryker?
Yes.
Mr. Albert?
Yes.
Okay, 11A through 11Q. Looks like some different contracts. Some of the items Jill talked about. Do I have a motion to accept?
Ledley.
Ledley?
Albert?
Albert? Questions, comments?
Yes, Chad, what are these agreements between Ada and Ben Logan? What are they for?
For Ada, it's all of our, it's students that they have that come to us that are in special education and require additional services. Yep.
Okay. Anything else? All right, I'll call for a vote.
Mr. Dick?
Yes.
Mr. Ludwig?
Yes.
Ms. Stryker?
Yes.
Mr. Albert?
Yes.
Mr. Carmine?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, item 12, we will approve a motion to go into executive session to consider employment of a public employee. After this, there will be no further business taken. Time in is 7:32. I have a motion to accept.
Albert?
Albert, second. Dick. And a vote.
Mr. Ludwig?
Yes.
Ms. Stryker?
Yes.
Mr. Albert?
Yes.
Mr. Carmine?
Yes.
Mr. Dick?
Yes.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks. See you, Eric.
Have you ever wished that you could travel back in time? Well, I can't help you out with that, but I can bring music back to you. It's Brandy. Join me weekdays from 11 until 1 for Fox's Flashback. It's powered by Steve Ostinato Group in Bell Fountain and at the lake. Always fun hanging out with you, spinning the favorites that you may have forgotten about. So join me weekdays. It's Fox's Flashback here on WKTN.
And time now for a check of the weather on WKTN.
Here's your regional forecast.